That white powdery coating on a raisin sitting in your pantry right now is wild yeast. Living, active. The same strain humans have used to leaven bread for 6,000 years. That is the bonus method today. The main event is 1 medium sweet potato and 2 cups of water, and you are getting all of it right now. The exact recipe with the specific temperatures that make or break the batch, what the jar should look like at every stage, every recipe. This replaces commercial yeast in what to do with the leftover solid pieces so nothing gets thrown away. And a second method using that raisin that hits active yeast in 12 hours. You are never buying a yeast packet again. 1 medium sweet potato, organic where possible because commercial wax coatings on conventional produce can slow fermentation. Do not peel it. The yeast you want lives on the skin surface, not the flesh. Scrub it well under cold water, chop into rough 1-inch pieces, no precision needed, and add them with 2 cups of water to a small pot. Bring it to a low, steady simmer. Specifically, not a rolling boil. Target 180 degrees Fahrenheit. That is the temperature where the starch and natural sugars in the flesh begin releasing into the water while the surface yeast colonies stay alive. Hold that for 10 minutes, then pull the pot off the heat entirely. The step that ruins most first batches comes right here. The liquid must cool completely to room temperature before anything else happens. Press the back of your wrist against the pot. It should feel like absolutely nothing. Not slightly warm, not slightly cool, neutral. Water above 110 degrees Fahrenheit kills yeast on contact. People who get impatient and strain the liquid while it still registers warm end up with a perfectly sterile jar of sweet potato water that will sit on the counter for a week and never produce a single bubble. The patience here is the whole technique. Strain the cooled liquid into a clean glass jar. Add 1 level teaspoon of white sugar. Immediate fuel for the yeast as the colony establishes. Cover loosely with a cloth held on with a rubber band, a coffee filter, or a lid set on without tightening. Do not seal it. Fermentation produces carbon dioxide continuously, and a sealed jar suffocates the culture within hours. Set it somewhere between 70 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit, on top of the fridge, near the stove, in a cupboard above the range, out of direct sunlight. Leave it alone. By 24 hours, you may see nothing at all. Completely normal. By 36 hours, look for 3 things. Small bubbles rising in a slow, steady stream from the bottom of the jar, a slight cloudiness in what was clear liquid before, and a faint smell that registers somewhere between fresh bread dough and a very mild beer. All 3 together mean the culture is alive and building. By 48 hours, vigorous bubbling throughout the liquid and a flat foam layer at the surface. That is ready to use. Move the jar to the refrigerator. It stays active and usable for weeks. Once a week, stir in a pinch of sugar and a small spoon of flour. That is the entire maintenance system. 2 things mean discard and start over. A sharp acetone or nail polish smell that signals contamination by the wrong bacterial strain, and fuzzy raised patches on the surface. Healthy fermentation foam is flat and dissolves when you stir it. Mold is structural and does not. The smell tells you before anything is visible. Trust it. 3/4 of a cup of active yeast water replaces 1 full packet of commercial dry yeast, 1 1/4 teaspoons, in any recipe. Reduce the other liquids by about 1/3 of a cup to keep the hydration balanced. Bread, pizza dough, dinner rolls, focaccia, cinnamon rolls, hamburger buns, soft pretzels, pita, brioche, anything that lists yeast in the ingredients. It also works directly in waffles. The fermentation gives the exterior a crispness and the interior a chew that commercial yeast does not produce. Wild yeast rises more slowly. Budget 2 to 3 hours for the first rise, 1 to 2 hours for the shaped final proof. The payoff is a crumb and a crust commercial yeast cannot match. The flavor comes from the specific microbial combination in your kitchen, your region, your air. The reason San Francisco sourdough cannot be reproduced in any other city is not a recipe question. It is exactly this. Now, the leftover pieces, and nothing in this method gets all thrown away. The sweet potato chunks you strained out are fully cooked. Season them with salt and olive oil. Roast for 10 minutes to firm the cut faces, and they are a side dish. Mash them directly into bread dough for extra density and a faint natural sweetness. Slice them cold into a grain bowl. Everything useful has already left them and gone into the jar. The feeding discard, the small amount of liquid you pour off each week before adding fresh sugar and flour to maintain the culture, is what most people dump down the sink without thinking. Mix it with equal parts flour and a pinch of salt, rest it 20 minutes, and cook it as a thin flatbread in a dry cast iron pan at medium heat. 2 minutes per side. No oil needed. For full pancakes, 1 cup of yeast water discard, 1 cup of flour, 1 egg, a pinch of salt, half a teaspoon of baking powder for extra lift. The mild fermentation in even an unfed culture gives them a faint tang and a tender crumb that no boxed mix produces. Every ingredient in that batter was headed for the drain. Before the raisin method, one thing about the culture that makes almost every home baker throw away a perfectly healthy starter thinking it has died. A culture sitting in the fridge unfed for a week or two will look flat, dark, and separated. A grayish liquid floating on top of a denser layer at the bottom. That liquid has a name in fermentation: hooch. It is not spoilage, it is a byproduct of low food fermentation and a sign the culture is hungry. Pour it off or stir it back in, either works. Then feed with a pinch of sugar and a spoon of flour and leave it at room temperature for 12 hours. A starter that looked completely dead at noon will be vigorously bubbling by midnight. Now the raisin method, 12 hours from setup to active yeast. 10 to 12 organic raisins into 1 cup of warm water with 1 teaspoon of sugar. Check the ingredients first. Some packaged raisins are coated with sunflower oil to prevent clumping, and that coating blocks the skin yeast from reaching the water. Plain dried grapes, nothing added, loose cover, warm spot. Within 12 to 24 hours, visible bubbles rise from the raisins into the surrounding liquid. The water turns faint amber and the smell is clean and faintly sweet. Raisin skin carries one of the densest wild yeast populations of any food in a standard kitchen. The same biology that produced the first wine a human being ever drank. Wild grapes fallen and crushed, the yeast on the skin fermenting without a recipe or a jar or any instruction from anyone. Strain when the liquid is actively bubbling. Same 3/4 cup ratio. The flavor reads slightly fruitier. A faint grape note that bakes off almost entirely in the oven, but leaves a complexity in the finished loaf a commercial packet does not produce. The raisins themselves are not wasted. They rehydrate and ferment gently over those hours. Taste mildly tangy and fold directly into bread dough, stir into oatmeal, or eat as they are. Commercial active dry yeast runs $5 to $6 for a 3-pack with a 90-day shelf life. The instructions tell you to proof it in warm water first, because the dormancy it is sealed into offers no guarantee the organism survived. Charles Fleischmann bottled wild yeast in 1868 and converted a free permanent household skill into a recurring purchase. For the 6,000 years before that, every baker maintained a live culture as basic kitchen practice, passed it to the next generation the way a cast iron pan was passed, and fed it once a week from scraps. It did not expire, it just ran. Yours will too. 1 jar. 1 sweet potato, a handful of raisins. Freeze a tablespoon of active culture in an ice cube tray as a backup. Thaw it, feed it once, and within 24 hours it is producing again. If this takes yeast permanently off your grocery list, share it with someone still buying 3-packs. See you in the next one.